All right, this is an introduction to the Genesis series controls on these ElectroFreeze machines. So I just had the machine plugged in and everything is off. The first thing we're going to notice is this switch on the left right here. This is your main power switch. When it is this way, or as it is right now, this is off. And then to turn the machine on, we're going to rotate this till it clicks. And now it will say it's on. You will not see any more powered off messages. Okay, so now that machine is powered on, this is the screen you'll see. Everything is off. Let's first go over the main buttons. On the top right and left, you'll see two snowflakes, and that is your freeze. Both of these power buttons are off, so when you press one of these buttons, it will kill all operations on that one side of the machine. You will see 4 buttons down here. Now note how these do not have a symbol on them, because these will change purpose as we go into the menus of the machine. As of right here, these keys are assigned wash, standby, wash, and standby for each side. If you want to put the left side in wash, we press this button. Then we have an option for the beater on and the pump on. So if you press the button again, the pump will turn on. Or if you press this, the beater will turn on. And then to exit this, we'll press the off button right here, and that will get us back to the main page. Same goes for this side, exact same pump and beater, and this will off. These are our freeze keys. This will put one side in the freeze. Then we can press off to turn it off, and same with this side. Next, we're going to look at right here. The top button here says cab on, and the bottom one says cab off. By turning this on, that engages the cabinet cooling for where the mix is stored in the bottom, and by pressing this, it will turn it off. This is our enter key right here, and these are left and right for scrolling. To enter the menu, we're going to hold down the F of the freeze, and that is going to bring up our operator menu. Now to enter any of these submenus, we're going to press the enter key on the right. So we're at basic settings, press enter, and this is going to enter all of our settings for the machine. Product type, that is the type of mix you're going to be running through this machine. In this case, Alt 1 is Dairy Queen mix. If we press enter, it's going to blink, and then we can use up and down arrows to select. So we've got low solid, we've got yogurt, high fat, low fat, and no fat. And then we can just scroll through any of these settings, and once you choose the selected one you want, you're going to press enter, and that's going to lock it in place. Here's your temperature offset, and here's your cabinet temp. This is not, your cabinet temperature setting is not an actual number of Fahrenheit. You can see here 1 and 9, and 1 is the coldest. So that's how you'll set the temperatures for the cabinet. We're going to use this key here to exit any of the submenus. Next one down, we're going to scroll down here, actual temps. Press enter, and this is going to bring up all the temperatures on the machine. This left temperature here is going to be the left cylinder temperature. The right top one is the right cylinder temperature, and the bottom right one is your cabinet temperature. It also says cabinet right there. I'm going to press the key here to exit. Event log. Enter in that. This is all of the functions of the machine. So when you press freeze, it'll log it. When you power it on, power it off, standby, all the actions will save up in here, and you can scroll through and see exactly what people have done to the machine. Error log. This is going to show any errors that have formed in the machine. So power fail means it was unplugged and you see compressor high PSI. That's because I currently do not have water to this machine. Statistics. This is how long your machine has been plugged in and how long the machine has ran for each mode. You can scroll through these. So you can see all the specs of how long everything is run and how many times things have turned on. Lockouts, you're not going to really see much in here. What you can do is you can lock out the functions, so people, if they press a button, it won't do anything. So you can see no is, it's not locked out, and then you can hit enter and make it to yes, and then you can hit enter again, it'll save it. But we do not want any lockouts, so we're going to set it to no, enter. This is the cones left. You can set that to 2, or however many cones you think is left in the machine when it senses the mix is low. Next, we're going to exit here. Screen settings. Show cabinet temperature, yes, that will display it in the top right corner. Show compressor, we have that set to no, that will indicate when the compressor is running. We have use beep, that is the beep sound we hear when pressing the buttons. We have that set to yes, so we can hear it. High clock error, no. Flash mix slow, you can make it flash on the screen, say mix slow. You can set that to yes or no. I would advise keeping it on. That way you will be told and alerted when your mix is low. Otherwise you can start running air into the machine and you can create problems with the consistency of the ice cream coming out. Beep on mix low. This will mean that the machine will beep at you when it senses that the mix is low. This can be useful, but it does get annoying if you don't immediately refill the mix, or if you don't have all the cables set up down there. So I just leave this to no. Display Celsius, here in America we're using Fahrenheit, so that's no, and that's all that's in this menu. So down here we're going to press exit. Date and time, this is our date and time right here. It's pretty straightforward. You hit enter, and then you can use our up and down arrows to increase or decrease any of these values, and then enter again to save, and press exit. Last clean, this has no date and time saved, we just plugged it in, but this will log up all the cleaning, so you can check when last person has cleaned this machine. Now the thing is, this, to have it register it being cleaned, the main power switch has to be off, which is the one right over there, and this head has to be removed, and it has to be off and warm for, I think it's 5 or 10 minutes, and then it will register that it's cleaned. So unless you do that, it won't register the cleaning, so you might not see it every time on this menu here. To exit this, I'm just going to press the exit. Software version, this is just the information about the machine, model number, cylinders, compressors, hopper, cabinet, power switch, all the specs on the machine. This machine here, as you can see, is a GES 103. Make sure that model matches what it says in the bottom or on the back, because you can program these machines for different models, because this interface is made for all the ElectroFreeze machines, but they are integrated to each machine via the model number in the software. To exit this, we're going to press exit, and that is all that's in this menu. So to scroll back up, you can see all the things we've gone through here, and then to press exit, we're going to press this button right here. That brings us back to our main menu. Now, by pressing the E and the F together at the same time, we're going to get into the technician menu. Here it says machine config. We're going to enter this. This is going to show our model number. This was what I was talking about a little earlier ago. We hit enter. This is a GES 103, but we can change this to a bunch of other models that use the same control. So we got a Gen 2080, Gen 5099, a Gen 80. We've got all the different models here. A GES 5400, a Gen. Notice how it's also Gens and GES, because it's all the same interface. So make sure that this is your right model number. So we are a GES 103. Oops. We've got 2 cylinders, because this is a twist machine. Or if it's not a twist, you can have 2 separate, but this is the cylinder count. We've got 2 compressors, 1 per each side. We do not have a hopper, we have a cabinet. So hopper is no, cabinet is yes. 1 power switch. We are not a shake. We have We do not have any transducers on this. This is your mix low, and when it will read mix out. By hitting enter, an increase in this voltage will make the machine read when your mix is there, because some mixes may not transfer voltage as well as others. So you may need to increase this slowly for it to remove the mix out icon on the screen when the mix is actually not out. I've had issues with this where some people's mix would not trigger this right, but this is how you would change that setting in the menu to fix the mix out error. Product table, once again, that's our model number, GES 103, and that is all there is to this menu. We're gonna hit exit. Product settings, this is a very useful one. Here we have Alt 1, which is Dairy Queen, and we have all of our settings. So we have the cut in, so the machine will cut in at 17 degrees. That means the temperature rises, it hits 17 degrees, and it will kick on. Our differential is also 17 degrees, meaning when it kicks on, it will go all the way down to 0 in this case. You will subtract that from the cut-in. Our swing differential, that is going to be when we draw a long cone, and it's going to draw all the way down. So in this case, you would subtract 19 from 17, and that was going to be our shutoff. Down here, idle compressor run, we don't need to mess with any of these. 5 seconds, this is after the freeze, the compressor stops, the beater is going to run for 5 seconds and then shut off. Use slope, you can demand slope, all these settings down here. Unless you really know what you're doing with this stuff down here, I would not touch it along with any other things in this menu right here. This is all your standby temperatures. It's kind of the same concept as your freeze mode and product settings. Now, one thing you can do is press enter on your product setting, and then you can change it. Now, you can see how all these temperatures changed depending on the type of product. So if you make your own mix, and you can fine tune this machine around that mix by setting all these temperatures. And also, if you have a mix and you don't know the fat content of it, this will show you. If you run your machine with the mix in it and you find out what temperatures it likes, what temperature it comes out a good consistency, what temperature it's runny, you can, by going through all these right here, you can find what your mix kind of aligns to temperature wise. So like this swing differential is 20 degrees for high fat, versus if you have no fat, you're gonna want that way lower, because you're gonna have freeze ups at that high. So you can really get to know this menu and fine tune it in with your mix. I'm gonna leave it at Alt 1. That's all there is to product settings. I would advise not changing any of this stuff unless you absolutely know what you're doing and know the temperatures you want things set at. Changing these temperatures to too low can create freeze ups. You can ruin your motors, you can overload them, you can overload your belts, gearbox, everything. So be very careful with lowering them without actually doing your research on the temperatures. But this is how you would do it. You would scroll down to it and you hit enter, and then you can now change all of these settings. But like I said, not advised. We're gonna exit this menu. Basic settings. This is for left and right side, so we can change all of our product settings. So for the left cylinder, Alt 1, right cylinder, Alt 1, enter, and then you can change these settings. Temperature offset and the cabinet temperature. You won't really need to mess with this much. Actual readings. Now this is a very useful menu right here. You've got the left and right cylinder temperatures. You've got your cabinet, and then you have your beater amperage on either side. So you can see you can kind of tell how frozen things are by the amperage. Like if you have the left side on wash with sanitizer in it and the right side has mix running in it, you can tell how frozen it is based on the amperage. You can also see the very bottom line, there is the PSI, that is our pressure switch. Now these machines sometimes from the factory comes with transducers, so they will read actual pressure, but nowadays they're just normal pressure switches which are either open or closed. So this will read whatever reads down here, something like this, and then it'll read about 43 PSI and shut off. That is not an actual pressure reading. That's just the way ElectroFreeze made these machines. So that's about it for this menu here. So we're gonna exit it. Diagnostics mode, this is really useful right here. We're gonna enter this. Now left spigot, center spigot, and right spigot. So if we open the spigot, you hear the click, it'll show on. We'll pull the center. Now, one thing you want to make sure is that these spigots turn all, when you shut the machine, it goes all the way off and it reads off. If they get stuck on, you're going to have a spigot error displayed on the front of the screen. So this is something very useful to note, to make sure these are all off when they're all closed and all on when they're all open. These are our pump covers. So we have both pump covers on this machine, so they both are on. Now if you have a cover that's on the machine and is correctly installed and this reads off, you're going to either have a sensor failure or a wiring failure. The door is closed. We do have it closed. Same concept with that. Power switch is on. And now these are all of our components like right here. So we've got the compressors. So we could press on to turn it on. And then it shuts off. Same with all these. The refrigeration solenoid, we can press on. That's going to open it, and then it'll stop in a second. That's very useful to test each component of the machine if you feel there's a problem with that component. You can scroll down through all this stuff. It's all the same concept. You can turn it on, turn it off, pumps, beater motor, everything from the fans and everything. So this is a really useful page. We're going to exit it because that's about all there is to this. Pressure cal. You won't really need to mess with any of this stuff here. I would advise against it, but these are all the options in this menu here. Factory default. You do not want to restore it unless you absolutely need to, so I would not really touch this menu at all. Software version, a little like earlier, it's just your model and your software version, your hoppers, your hopper, cylinders, everything. It's not a shake. You can see right here, there's no transducers in this machine, so you won't really need to touch any of this here unless you absolutely need to or know what you're doing. And that's it. There's nothing left to this menu here. So that is all of the settings, and we've gone through every single menu and option there is in this machine. So we're going to exit out of this, and that's going to bring us to our main page. And that is just about all there is to this Genesis control on all ElectroFreeze machines. To reset any errors, you can either press enter, that will make it go away, but the only real fix is going to be turning the main power switch off, say powered off, and then back on, and that will reset any errors in the machine and allow you to go into freeze mode again.